The political situation in Brazil is complicated, but recently it has gained elements of a Netflix show. Last week, there was a large-scale search and seizure operation ordered by the Supreme Court at the home of President Jair Bolsonaro's most vocal social media supporters. They are suspicious of anti-democratic activity and fake news rings. One of the most fanatical supporters was imprisoned, and there was a huge speculation that one of the subjects for the next police operations would be the president's far-right educational minister, Abraham Weintraub. Essentially, he had to flee the country to the United States after being fired because he was caught on tape at a cabinet meeting screaming that the Supreme Court justices should be in jail. But the more curious than the educational minister's actions is what led to the tape being released. Former Judge Sérgio Moro sent many important political figures to jail on the car wash operation. Later, Sérgio Moro accepted an important position in President Bolsonaro's administration that, among other duties, he would be in charge of the federal police. And these past actions used to be somewhat a certificate of a corruption-free administration. After a little over 1 year in the position, Minister Moro claimed that among many problematic requests, the president was pressuring him to cover his son's wrongdoings and resigned his position. According to Sérgio Moro, the presidential meeting that was recorded and considered classified due to the strategic importance had proof that the president openly asked him for the cover-up. After a lot of back-and-forth accusations in a fairly short court battle, most of the tape's content were released, and what was interesting about it is that the recordings did not prove any wrongdoings from the president. However, several of the president's ministers complained about the corrupt Congress blocking important pieces of legislation, and Minister Weintraub, the one who just fled to the United States, said, "I always had extremely poor view of the politicians in this country, but holding the position, I see it's much worse than my worst nightmares. A lot of authorities should be in jail, starting from the country's Supreme Court justices." Naturally, the meeting wasn't taken well by the country's justices, and looks like they are doing everything in their reach to catch all the president's supporters and started the search and seizures operations mentioned in the beginning of this story. That created more problems to the current administration in a time where the president is already on the third health minister in less than 3 months during a global health crisis. This happened because all the previous health ministers disagreed with how the president wanted to handle the coronavirus pandemic and decided to resign. And now, Weintraub also had to join the list of ministers that left Bolsonaro's administration. However, the president announced that he would appoint Weintraub to a senior position in the World Bank. This is one of the few important positions that do not require Senate's approval. But the opposition parties in Brazil quickly sent messages to other authorities at the World Bank, providing them details about the circumstances involving Bolsonaro's nominee. Since then, it has been strong speculations in Brazil that Minister Weintraub would be the next target of law enforcement operations. Those suspicions were greatly fueled when Weintraub abruptly posted on Twitter, "I'm leaving Brazil as soon as possible. I do not want to fight. I want to be quiet. Leave me alone." The opposition parties tried to get approval for a search and seizure of his passport. But hours after the justice granted approval, Weintraub was already landing here in Miami. The Brazilian mainstream media, with the opposition, are asking plenty of questions, most of them with an easy answer. For instance, local authorities are asking how could Weintraub have entered in the United States given the existence of an executive order issued by President Trump that barred all who have been in Brazil for the prior 14 days from entering in the United States. This would normally be a very interesting question. But the travel ban explicitly excluded American citizens, permanent residents in the United States, and, in Weintraub's case, diplomatic passport holders such as the ones in possession of every Brazilian high authority. Although the opposition may be right, and Weintraub might have underperformed in the position, a question that everyone could be asking instead is why virtually any average Brazilian, regardless of the political position, actually agrees the Supreme Court is corrupt and offers protection mostly for the rich and powerful. So the bigger picture is that chances are Brazilians in general would agree with Weintraub's statements that the justices should be in jail and Congress is very corrupt. I'm João Freitas from Miami for Digpo News Network.